So hey everyone, I'm here with Belanji and Elaine Rodriguez, and they're both two amazing, awesome, powerful boss babes. They're dentalpreneurs, they're dental hygienists, and they have their own business. And we're just here to discuss any tips, advice, and talk about the grind of being a brown girl RDH and being a businesswoman. So hi guys.
Hi.
Hello.
So I just wanted to start off with Elaine. I want to introduce you. I know we did a segment a few weeks ago with Belanji, and we talked about her hot chocolate lime chocolate latte. So let's just talk about Elaine. Introduce yourself. What do you do?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Elaine. I started off my career actually as a dental assistant. From there, I went back to school, went to do dental hygiene. And from there, I developed a special interest in lasers. So as I went forward, working as a dental hygienist, I worked for about 8 years in total. I'm recently out of the ops since then, just running the dental laser business full time now. But about a year into clinical practice, I was working with a doctor who wanted to pursue lasers, who wanted to learn all about lasers. So we went forward and we had a lot of success with it. And then moving forward, I saw that there was a need for more education, more quality education for hygienists like me who wanted to implement, do more for patients, earn more on the op. So I created my company, Dental Laser Integrations, and it's been good.
Yeah, and you, we've actually met on mentorship at C's. You were one of the mentors there for many of the dental hygienists and assistants and just anyone in the dental field that wanted to pretty much figure out what they wanted to do. And you dropped a couple little gems, those little pearls that you were dropping. And I just thought when I met you, like that was so powerful, how you just took that and brought it to where everyone, you know, I think you hired someone even from mentorship on your team. Actually, so the opportunity that you provided was amazing, and you offered a scholarship, a Brown Girl RDH scholarship for a student and a dental hygiene professional with your company. So thank you. We appreciate you for that.
Thank you. And I actually had my eye on you long before that. So being a brown girl, you know, I saw your stuff around, so I started following you, and then I found that you had a YouTube. So I think it's the very first YouTube you did that introduced yourself. And I don't know what video that was, but it really inspired me, like just your backstory. And I was like, oh my God, one of these days I have to post like a backstory, you know, being a Latina and being like a minority and like starting off in like a professional industry. So that really touched me. And I think I sent you, and then I was even more impressed with you because you're in dental school and I also wanted to pursue dental school. So I think I sent you like a DM, like what classes are you taking? And you were like busy. So you gave me like a quick one. And then I saw you at RDH Under One Roof. You were walking around. And I was like, oh my God, I have to meet this girl. So yeah, we kind of like met before then a little bit, but I'm glad that I was able to really, I think mentorship is when we really like bonded and connected like on a personal level. So yeah.
Yes, it's one thing to see someone and be like, wow, I can relate to that person, I want to meet them. But then when you actually meet them and then you start vibing with them and you're like, wow, like she's brown, I'm brown, and we share so many similarities. Like we had some like pretty deep moments to where that was a year ago, almost 2 years ago. No, I think it was a year ago. But we still talk and are very close to this day. So those are the relationships that is built in this community. And Belanji, I met you at RDH Under One Roof. The same exact thing. Like how we just hit it off. Can you tell us about like that, what your journey is, where you began, what your company is?
Yeah, like you said, we met at RDH Under One Roof, and I thought it was amazing because I was visiting the booth because, you know, you get like, if you get enough stamps or anything, you get like a prize. And I stopped by your booth and I loved how it's different and there was diversity because like Elaine says, we're underrepresented in the profession. So seeing somebody having their own booth, I was impressed. I was like, wait, what do you do? And I learned about your organization and we was really excited. Because I'm a Hispanic and I don't really see hygienists in that are Hispanics. I mean, I'm from Puerto Rico, so they don't really have dental hygienists, so it's not as a known profession. They have dental assistants with expanded functions. So it was great to meet somebody, and I love what you were doing and helping hygienists or that are in school. And me, I started hygiene school when I was a single mom. I was actually going through like a divorce, and I was in a different moment in my life. And I was serious about hygiene schools, but I also made a lot of sacrifices to be where I was at. And I know how expensive it is. And to see an organization to help women like us, or young men or women like us who want to pursue their career, but they lack the network, they lack the support for it. So it was really inspiring. And so thank you, Martel, for bringing this organization forward. And I love how much has grown too, the rapid growth and awareness from it.
Yeah, that's something like when people first hear, or they'll see a booth, they'll see me at a booth, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is so cool what you do. I follow you on social media." And the first thing they say is like, "Oh, I'm not a brown girl, but can I?" I'm like, "You are a brown girl." Like, brown girl is just not, brown is not a color. That's just not the skin. That's just not the skin you are. Like, if you encompass everything that we believe in, our mission, our values, to inspire each other, to connect, to support one another. It doesn't matter what walk of life and who you are. You still need support if you need support. And then people are very much so embarrassed of where they came from and embarrassed of their struggle, and they don't like to share that. So usually start off by sharing the success story, and they don't want to share the journey and how they fell off and how they, where they started. Like, they always come to like, we have to crawl before we walk, but everybody's running the marathon now, and you're like, wait a minute, where is that? But people have to share that part, the hardships. And that's one of the things about Elaine that we connected with, because she was right off the grip. She's like, my family, she talks about her family, and we could relate with that. And then just being a mom and being an entrepreneur and going to dental hygiene school, and just the struggles through it all. And it seems like in every dental hygienist, there was a struggle through dental hygiene school.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's a prerequisite, like struggle check, loops check. Like, you have to have the struggle or some kind of drama with it. So I think just being that community and that support for everyone, like, that's what people really connect to. That's what they hold on to. They want that realness. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I definitely struggled. And so number one, it's, it's not really a stigma of, being a Latina, but for me personally, I had, I don't know if you guys have recently seen that new Netflix show that's out. It's about Chicano culture, and kind of like a cliche, but it's the way it really is. So my dad came from a very, let's say he was in gangs, and there was a whole lifestyle in and around that. And then my mom was a small town girl, and small town values, like grandpa worked in the coal mines of the Southwest. So I had dad who's from Southern California, and all the Mexican like cliche culture that you hear from that. And then you have mom who's very like traditionally grown, housewife material, super submissive. So then, you blend that to become me. And then as I grow, there was very little resources, and it's not really a matter of lack of resources. It's just the culture of what you're grown into. Like, how do I apply for college? How do I, look for scholarships even? How do I get resources or have access to resources? So I look at the way I'm raising my daughter now, and I think, she's very spoiled, but that's kind of like the stuff I provide for her. So it's completely different. So I can see where kind of, I fell off, or where I wasn't able to have access to that, where my parents didn't provide like that basic information. So I think it's amazing what you're doing, because me, as I step forward, when I got into hygiene school, I was, in a long-term relationship, and we had our daughter, and he was also in school. And so when it came time for me to, step into hygiene school, just at some point we broke up. So that's a whole nother topic for another day, of like the stress of having a relationship and a family. and then going into school like full-time, a rigorous curriculum like hygiene school. So that was, you know, a thing. But then my mom got sick with cancer, and, you know, you keep on going, you don't stop. Like, mom got sick, you know, I have this daughter to support now, I have classes to finish. Like, there is no stopping. Like, nothing was gonna stop me from graduating and like finishing school. So I resonate with what Balanji said. Like, you got to keep going. Like, there is no other option but to finish. And something like Brown Girl would have really came in, you know, handy for me, because I remember, and of course, going into a professional program, I wasn't even expecting fees. I was like, what? There's a $2,500 kit I have to buy on top of all this other stuff. So that was a huge shocker. So then I asked my daughter's dad, and this is a funny story and I laugh now, but then it wasn't funny. He was an attorney. So I'm like, hey, can you help, you know, your baby's mother out? Give me, you know, $2,500. And he's like, I can loan it to you. And so thankfully I had a resource to loan, but ego-wise, I would have loved to be able to apply for a Brown Girl RDH scholarship versus asking my ex for the money. You know what I mean? So it's funny now, but anyway. So yeah, I really love that. So anything I can do to like help anybody that's in that position. And again, brown is not a color, and you don't have to be like in the struggle for it, but really that's who the nonprofit organization is there to help, you know, so.
Absolutely. And some people, you know, they need help financially, but other people need help when it comes to, you know, how to stick up for myself when they're just graduating. Like, how do I get what I'm worth, you know? When you go into an office, and I had a girl telling me that she worked for a husband and wife couple, and we know those type of offices, and she was just like, you know, I was pretty much treated like a child, not by the doctor, but by his wife. And I was like, it probably was because you are young and you are a graduate and you're a hygienist. And she's like, yeah, she just kind of like browbeat me all the time until she finally said, you know, that enough is enough, and she quit. And but these are things that people need to know coming out of hygiene school. Like, you might not need that resource, but you might need somebody like me or Chicana to be like, look, girl, you gotta stick up for yourself, and this is how you're gonna do it. Like, we're not taking no shit from nobody. Like, this is what you're gonna do. Because some people need that push, because it gets old getting beat up, not beat up, but physically, but like beat down all the time, and you're just doing your best. And then it's make or break. Like, should I be in this profession? When people are just intimidated by you, so they try to intimidate you, because they're intimidated by your presence, by how smart you are, by your beauty or whatever. And unfortunately, the dental space, the dental community is very small, and it happens all too often because it's a lot of private practice, a lot of mom and pop dental offices where family members, you know, the cousin works here, the brother's the lab tech, the dad is the dentist who comes in on the weekends, and it's just like, this is crazy. But, you know, those are things that people need if they can't be an advocate for themselves. They have someone like their auntie to be like, listen, been there, done that. There's two jobs you're choosing. One has benefits, but it's mom and pop, and the other one's corporate, and you have to work towards your benefits. Like, you might want to take the corporate because you probably be save off, you know. Not to say anything for mom and pops, but, you know, or family practice, they're called family practice. But you have to understand, like, people that have actually been in the field and who have been there and done that. And just a way how to brand yourself and say, you know what, I know what I bring, I know what my worth is. I live here in North Carolina, and the city that I live in, the hygiene rate is $28. Like, $28. That's really nothing. Like, I filed for unemployment, and I'm getting paid what waiters get paid. So you have, like, where I used to work, you have, like, you can get $28 an hour, you can get production. Well, obviously, I've never gotten $28 an hour. I've always been on production, but the point is, that's like the lowest rate here. So if I go to another office and I say I have 10 years of experience and I want the average, which is about $35 an hour here, then I have to be able to say, this is why I deserve it. Not, you know, they ask you, what'd you get paid at your last one? They're only asking you that so they can gauge what they're going to pay you, but you have to make it like, this is what I'm worth, or this is what I'm going to accept, nothing less, you know? So that's just one of those things, like, stand up for yourself, be strong. You know, you don't have to be in your face. You don't have to be angry, you know, but you do have to have a presence. And that's what being a boss is all about. And
Yeah.
I've had those times where I had to be like, okay, should I say something? Should I boss up right now or not? Like, you don't want to be like that, you know, that girl, like, oh, she's mean, she's this, she's that. But you have to, right? I'm pretty sure you guys have done that in your careers, and as being an entrepreneur, you have to stick up for yourself.
I have to say, I was for the early part of my late teens, early 20s, I've been more of an introvert. And I think going through being in a relationship that I wasn't so happy with, built some grit and character in me. So, and I was able to grow from that and feel a little more confident, especially when I saw that I made it to high school and still, you know, bought my first house before I was 30, about my, you know, without being in a relationship. And I think life experiences alone, and I've always gone to grown women that were older and more mature. I never really hung out with people my age per se. I always hung out with people who had a lot more life experience. Like, I love listening to older women, older men about what they've done, because they're really transparent and raw with their, you know, what they've experienced. They don't sugarcoat anything. And I love hearing from them, and they motivate me. They tell me, like you said, it's like that mentorship. They would say, no, this is what you need to do. This is how you're going to say it. I'm like, I don't think I can do it. Yeah, you can do it. And they coach you and motivate you. And when you hear their experience and their success, and they even tell you, you know, it's okay if you get rejected. So what? What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no? Well, then fine. Can you live with that? I'm like, okay. And hearing from people like that just help build more character and confidence, but you have to be bold. You have to be vulnerable and bold to put yourself in that situation, speak your truth, be, you know, transparent, and hope for the best, be optimistic. And if everything falls in place, it's great. And like you said, it's going to build character and build presence, because now they're going to see you differently. They're not going to see you as a young grad or, you know, that naive person. They're like, wow, this person has strong values, strong morals. And when she says something, or he says something, we should listen up.
Right. They have something to say when they speak. That's the biggest thing. You have to find your voice.
And again, I heard a few things there. The laundry is, you had an ear for it. You know, you never really were kind of, I mean, you called yourself an introvert. I could have identified as an introvert before, but now I'm a public speaker. So I'm like, I don't know what kind of a social introvert, like, what does that make me?
Ambivert. I think now you're ambivert, in the middle.
So I'm like, I've gone through this whole path of self-discovery. So like, I would say anybody who's, you know, wanting to move forward, like, you just have to feel it within you. Because again, I had a dad who was really outspoken. It didn't take anything from anybody. And then my mom was very quiet and submissive. So you like incorporate these traits within yourself, and that's what makes you who you are. But as you step up into the professional realm, it's, you know, like, just to play off of what Martel was saying, it's understanding, one, what environment am I going to gravitate to or thrive in? Is it going to be the mom and pop where husband and wife are running it? Is it going to be in a corporate style, you know, office that's busy? And then who am I talking to? Like, what social environments am I putting myself in? Am I running around with my girlfriends, you know, who are out, you know, partying or whatever? Or am I talking to older people, more established, or where I want to be? You know, so to me, Brown Girl means providing a resource and an ear and a table and, you know, even a voice to help people discover themselves. Like, how am I going to thrive, you know, in the professional world if those characteristics were not ingrained to me as I move forward, you know, as I grew up or whatever. So it's important. It really is, because you don't know when is the right time to speak up or when should I be quiet. And I just feel like we should pursue, like, our careers like we pursue a relationship. You know, like, is there long-term potential here? Is it short-term? Am I happy with the short-term? Because I've been a short-termer where maybe I got a job in a corporate environment where I was like, God, it's very money-driven, very goal-driven. It's a profi mill that maybe I need to learn from that environment to see where I'm going to succeed, you know? So I love that. And I think that's what, you know, what it takes to get to the next level is knowing, you know, what qualities and traits do you have and that you can develop. So to me, that's what Martell is providing through Brown Girl is, you know, those resources to differentiate between your personal, how do you marry like your personal values with your professional values? So I heard that with everything you just said, Delandria. Yeah.
She broke that down good. I'd be focusing on that. I really focus on, that's the speaker in you, because I focus on things that apply to me. I'm like, yeah, get that person. No.
No, I'm like taking mental notes from both of you. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. That's gold.
Yeah,
That really is.
that's so cool. So right now, like we're starting to see, we're all in quarantine and we're starting to see all the entrepreneurs emerge. Like your friends, you're like, whoa, I didn't know you had it in you. Like, when were you working on this? Like people are really on the grind right now. They're like, let me get this done. You know, let me hit the ground running. So, I'm seeing people doing lives. I'm seeing people creating websites. I feel like it's a beautiful thing. And a lot of these people that are doing it are women, believe it or not. They're dental hygienists and they're women. And this is not something that they just thought about just during quarantine. I'm pretty sure it's been in the back of their mind, like, I want to start an online store. I want to start a company. I want to start a business or whatever it is. So I just saw that and I'm like, wow, like you said, you have to be married to your business. Like you have to treat it like a relationship. Is it going to be a liability, or, you know, is this going to be something that you're absolutely 100% I do, married to, and to death do us part. So that it's just amazing to see.
Yeah.
And then I think people are like, you know, they see everyone who's out there doing it, and then that makes them think, you know what, I can do this too. Like it inspires them to say, like, I'm gonna go for it. It gives them that much more confidence, because we're in a man's world, but in the dental hygiene field, like, we're in our world. It's female dominated. Like, so we gotta step up and show out for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And you do have to be in it for the long haul, because and I know we've had this conversation before, Martell, where we've had to leave our kids at home to go out, you know, and do mentorship, you know, get on a cruise ship and go to Cuba, or, you know, go to RDH under one roof, you know, jumping on a plane and leaving your family at home to kind of pursue the goal, the dream, the vision. Yeah. And Belandria, this is my first time meeting with you, but how much has your business forced you to kind of be away from your family or the home life?
Yeah, it's I'm early on in my business, and it's a combination of my business and then my professional job too. So it's trying to balance that, because my business, well, my professional job funds my business right now, because I'm in the initial stages, recently launched, and even with this COVID situation, it's been negatively affecting my business, but I'm still optimistic. I know that, you know, everything happens for reasons. I keep pushing forward and I'm hoping for a breakthrough. But my son, you know, just going to school, dental hygiene school, that required a lot of babysitting. My job, I work at ADMI, which is a dental support organization that requires a lot of somewhat travel too. So fortunately, he's older, he's 16, so I don't have to worry as much, but still it's an inconvenience for him too, or you might be missing certain things out. And for my business, I'm putting him to work. When I'm trying to do little trade shows, or I was at a farmer's market with him, I'm like, it's 5 a.m, it's frigid cold outside in December, and it was inside a barn style. I'm like, you're coming up, you're going to help me load the car, and, you know, and experience this and talk to customers when I'm in the restroom. You know, I need him to learn the process, and hopefully he'll appreciate it later on in life. But it is a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of getting yourself out of your comfort zone. That's the only way you're going to grow and experience new things, and, you know, trial and error is when you put yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I agree. And he's a good sport about it.
You know, he's been pretty supportive for the most part. It hasn't gotten to him yet, but I haven't bugged him enough. I think that's the issue. Hopefully when the season gets better with this whole situation. I had all these plans. I wanted to do farmers market. I wanted to do more of the RDH under one roof, or these dental hygiene conferences. And it's like, I don't think it's going to happen. So
It'll happen when it needs to happen. I was thinking about that the other day. Like, we made all of these plans to do all these things. Like, as soon as COVID hit, I was like, oh my God, these cheap are flight. I bought like 5 flights and one got canceled. Like that was silly, but anyways, a couple flights coming up. I'm like, listen, whether I go to the convention or not, like I'm going on this trip. But my point is, everything happens for a reason. Maybe this was the time to like recalibrate and figure out some things. Maybe, you know, I'm starting to look at my website and do different things and think about relaunching other things in that way. So this is the time where before it's focus, 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 go, go, go. I don't have time for that. That's okay right now. But now we're starting to focus in on these things like, you know, farmers market. Maybe you needed to be at the farmers market and not at a convention. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's probably everything's happening for a reason. Definitely don't question it. But I feel like yeah, we're just, for me, it's connecting with the organization, the people, the members of the organization. It's using the platform to connect with them at this point. Because before I would not have time. School, work, sleep, repeat. Like that's it. You know.
I believe it.
So
So much.
that means something different for everyone.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's been, and this is really for, so you asked us to come here to talk more for like an ear of hygienists who are currently in practice, maybe wanting to level up or do more, or maybe even students, right? Because you have a huge student base.
Mm-hmm.
So like a couple of things that Belanji said, and I know you're in the startup phase, this is a beautiful time to really sit down and say, okay, what is my, and I'm sure you already know this, but anybody, no matter what, like you're more well-established, Martel, it's a beautiful time to sit down. And I mean, I know I'm in a point of like complete restoration and just, number one, a lot of my struggle was, okay, I'm a single parent and I have to be able to balance, you know, putting business together and being a mom and being a dental hygienist. And to a certain point, I think I was like 28 years old when I was still pursuing classes. So I was working full-time. I was working 6 days a week. My daughter had just entered into kindergarten. And so I'm working 6 days a week hygiene, which I'm brand new, which is a new, I mean, that first year out is no joke, you know, depending on what, you know, working environment you get into. So there was learning, you know, how to apply these new skills that I got in hygiene school and proving my value. And then there was, you know, becoming a mom of a kindergartner. So I felt like, oh my God. And she was in like a little charter school. So I was like in school too, doing homework with her. So it was balancing all of that and then, you know, managing the household and managing myself. So like, I feel like the first thing to do is like really get clear on the goals, because that's what was important for me. I knew that I wanted to do more and I knew I was going to have to like make those sacrifices, which a lot of times it's not easy, you know? So I sacrificed a lot of mommy time, opportunity time. You know, I was definitely not, you know, the Girl Scout trooper mom. And I appreciate those moms seeing leadership in me, asking me to be a troop leader. But I was like, no, I'm not going to run the Girl Scout troop. Not going to do it.
No, and I think that's okay because you cannot do it all. I struggle with like not making it to award ceremonies and, you know, not being able to help with certain things. But don't you ever feel guilty about that, because at the end of the day, your kids are watching you and they're going to learn something from you. And the way you grind, the way you hustle, the way you make a means for them or for your household, they're going to be like, wow, I want to be like my mom one day. Now, my mom was an entrepreneur, but she was an entrepreneur. Like, sounds so bad, and I hope nobody judges me, but I really don't care. But she sold drugs. Like, that was her hustle. Like, she hustled. That's how she hustled. And growing up, I probably saw that, and I didn't want to be a drug dealer, but I saw how she was always going out on the grind, staying up late, bad things, selling drugs. I'm not saying that's the way, but at the end of the day, you know, they refer to those as hustlers, like people that are going to grind and get it no matter what. So me probably seeing that instilled a lot in me to where I am. Like, I'm going to do this no matter what to take care of my family. My mom had to engage, single mom. So she had to do what she had to do. So I understand, right? It doesn't mean if you don't agree with it, but I understand it. And my kids will understand that maybe I'm not there, you know, at the parent teacher conferences or at award ceremonies, but they understand what I'm doing, like when I'm building. My 4-year-old, he'll see a shirt that says Brown Girl RDH. He's like, that's RDH, that's RDH. Or he'll say, Mommy, your name is RDH, you know? So it's just funny that he's 4. I mean, he understands a lot. Yesterday, he's like, oh, that's Donald Trump. I'm like, how do you know Donald Trump? Like, we don't walk around talking about Donald Trump here, but he knew who Donald Trump was at 4. So they see and they pick up. So the fact that you're taking your kid with you and you're showing them things, or they're seeing you just work and do things, I mean, that means so much. So don't ever feel guilty about doing that. Because in all honestly, it's for them. It's not necessarily for you, it's for them. So, and I got discouraged a lot in the beginning. A lot of people told me not to do this. Why are you doing that? You know, my own husband was like, what? I don't understand. He's like, what are you doing that for? He's like, we're not making any money. I'm like, that's not the point. So if you have your main supporter that's supposed to be your supporter doubting what you're doing, it can be easy to be like, you know what, I'm just not going to do it now. But don't do it. Keep going. If that's what you want to do, if that's what's in your heart, like, just go.
Yeah, I had a different experience. I had a lot of supporters, but lack of resources. Like they were all cheerleaders, basically. And I had to find resources to get where I wanted to be. But well, like you said, Elaine, you have to be clear with your goals and find out what is it that you want to do. So then when other opportunities come, you don't get too distracted by them, and you have to refocus, say, okay, I might have to turn down this opportunity to really put my energy and focus onto really what I want to do. As well. With my family, like especially I'm Puerto Rican, and the women in my family tend to be very bold, very bold. They definitely wear the pants in the house, and the men are very supportive. They're work and hardworking, but when the minute they enter those doors, they know that the woman now is in charge when they step foot in the house. But they have that hustle and grind, like. They were selling food, or they feed the community. Like they always overcook because they're waiting for someone to stop by and feed them, or they think about somebody to feed them. And they're almost like a little community advocate. And they always tend to help their family members too. And growing up, I remember my house being almost like a transitional home for certain members of my family who were going through different stages of their life, and they just needed to stay with us for a little bit until they got their stuff together and really were able to move on in their independence. So I know in my culture, we support each other, and sometimes there's one person that has more resources and connections than other. But we always learn to, always give and help each other out, help people out. And if you don't know, if you have an idea or a goal, find the people that can help you achieve that goal and grow, and help take you, because there's people that know people that really can help you be. And that's one of the things that I know I shared with the last conversation with Martel was, I always went to conferences and conventions. I tend to go by myself, to force myself to network with new people, meet new people, and hopefully grow that network, because I might need them later on in life, or I might know somebody who could use their services or mentorship as well. So,
yeah,
I totally.
Elaine was talking about the Chicana culture, and I took Latin American history, so I know a little bit about the Chicana culture. And both what you guys are explaining is like, the in-your-face, strong, I'm here, kind of like the bully, right? The woman is like the bully. The men are very submissive and supportive in that culture. So I think that's amazing that we all.
And the abuela is like the dictator of all of it. No, not dictator, but the hierarchy of everyone is the abuela.
I need to work on my Spanish. I don't know.
is a hierarchy, and everybody listens to abuela.
Is that grandmother or is that
grandmother? It's a grandmother.
Okay, yeah, grandmother. I love it. I love the culture. I love that we have this community that we can connect and really connect and really support and really have this sisterhood and brotherhood. So it's good to see. What advice would you guys give, not even a dental professional, but anyone watching looking to you as representation? It can be a kid, a teenager, someone who wants to change careers? What advice would you give?
I would say definitely take advantage of this platform. There's a lot of brilliant minds that joined this network and this platform, Brown Girl RDH. And I've seen a lot on the social media page, people asking certain questions, and a lot of people provide input or support, or they say, send me an instant messenger. Also, which is great. It's a great place to at least start, but also find somebody within your chapter. I have become a lot more supportive of the American Dental Hygiene Association. For the longest time, I wasn't. Because I felt like with my own dental support organization, I had that support. And I had a lot of women in that organization that really helped develop my leadership abilities. But now I'm so glad I joined last year, American Hygiene Association, my local chapter, because look what happened. Now they have been really trying to be supportive with what's going on and advocate for hygienists at the state level, the national level. And I know a lot of people, they lost a lot of membership over time, but I think hopefully they've regained the trust now with the hygiene profession. Hopefully you can be now part of a liaison or a board member within your local chapter and grow that way too. That's another way to meet new people within the profession that are trying to grow and develop leadership skills as well.
I love that. And to add to that, I would say one, know yourself. Like know your soft and your hard skills and your values, because that's going to make you a hot commodity in the hygiene space, because we all learn how to polish, scale, floss, but it's a very personality driven industry where it's kind of like who you know, who you connect with, how you present yourself. So me growing up, it was like, be quiet, Elaine, don't speak up, just be soft, be a little lady. And I'm, that's not really necessarily who I am. It's not necessarily a bad thing, so it's knowing who you are. And then number two, it's knowing how to give, so like, I know I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not very political. And up until I became a CE provider and wanting to work in different states, I never was concerned with what was scope of practice and public policy and standard of care in other states. So I work in Arizona, so I'm super grateful that we can anesthetize, we can work indirectly, we can work with in mobile dentistry. I mean, there's a lot of things that your association and paying those dues goes towards. And then also, again, the people who are running, and sitting at the table of those boards and organizations, they do have a lot of strong leadership. They really, really do. And they know when's the right time to turn it on. Most of them know when it's the right time to turn it off. So I think that's great. It's a great place to be connected with. Yeah. So again, those two things were good. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Well, that wraps this up today. Thank you guys for joining us. Brown Girl RDH Latina edition. I love it. And I'll be talking to you guys pretty soon, okay? Make sure anyone who's watching, please subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Bye, guys.
Bye.